Hello there, Laurie Havelock here from IR Magazine at the Forum and Awards for India 2019. I'm joined by Anuj from Valorem Advisors. Anuj, it's so good to have you here. Thank you for joining
Laurie.
us.
It's been a pleasure.
And you've been taking part in some of today's sessions. I wondered if you could tell us a little bit more about yourself and what Valorem do, actually, first of all.
Sure. So Valorem Advisors is one of India's first IR companies. We manage investor relations for about 50 companies. Investor relation as a function is very new to India, so we started this about 10 years ago, and we're growing. We have a different kind of approach to investor relations, where especially for small cap and mid cap companies we kind of outsource the entire function, and for large cap companies we just try to fill the gaps where they have in investor relations. Yeah, so that's about us. It's been a fun journey so far. Let's see.
Fantastic, and you were here with us last year and you're here this year taking part in some of our discussions. In fact, you led one of our roundtable discussions where we had several sessions going on at once, and you were looking at the topic of measuring success in IR and some of the ways of doing that. I wondered if you could sum up some of the findings you had from speaking to the IROs and the other people here in attendance.
Sure. So I think it's a topic quite dear to me, because it's something that's very difficult to do in sometimes, especially when you have an outsourced investor relation function. Having to prove the management and various parameters of the success of investor relations. But it was great. We had some of the best in IR professionals today sharing their thoughts as to what they think is the best measures. And I think hands down it came down to, and I think I've read this in the surveys of IR Magazine as well, that investor feedback is the most critical, important way to measure the success of IR. A couple other things that came out is obviously the conversion percentage of how many number of research and how many number of investors, the change that you bring as an investor relation professional, and also the quality of it. And lastly, I think it was the communication, how you tell the equity story, your communication collaterals, the responsiveness, the information dissemination, the timeliness, the accuracy, all those factors. I think three things combined, that kind of defines IR, and that's the best way to measure it to the management as well as and which is what managements do most of the time, to use that.
Absolutely, and we'll be hearing from some of those best-in-class investor relations teams and individuals later on at the awards. Right. I wondered if you could finally, anyone who's thinking about maybe attending either this event or one of our other IR Magazine events in the near future, what you found was useful today and what you think IROs might find particularly useful and insightful about coming to one of these events.
Sure. I think it's been an absolute pleasure. Kudos goes to the whole event management team, preparing the panelists, creating and innovating new ways of, doing these sessions. But most importantly, I think the networking and the learning aspect of it. There's so much in India today that, as a function of investor relations, is so nascent that, getting inputs from different best practices, not only in India and from large cap, mid cap, small cap companies, but around the world too, is not only a great learning process for us, but a great sharing and understanding as the challenges, what they go through, and how do we mitigate that in order to make this function work actually. So it's been absolute great pleasure to be a part of it. But more importantly, I would advise anybody to if they're looking at investor relation as a function, as a job, as a career, they must come here, because I think it's a great educational session, at least for us. And we've been doing this for 10 years, and we have a team of almost 50 people who do this. But it's a great reiterative process for us as well. Yeah.
Very glad to hear that, Anuj, and thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to have you here along with us too.
Absolutely.
We'll see you next year.
Yeah, absolutely, you will. Thanks.